That's just conspiracy theory stuff, though.
We do crazy here.
Yeah, I was thinking crazy.
Crazy.
I was thinking...
Is it the ghosts?
Wink twice if you're in the Witness Protection Agency.
Right.
What? Are you just spiraling?
Don't start that. It wasn't weird at first.
It's weird now. We didn't make him say that. Don't put that in there either. Every weird face I ever make is online right now.
Yeah, it's all in there, yeah. Somehow mine keep getting cut out. Welcome to another episode of Canocla Chatter.
I'm Leah.
I'm Justin.
And today we are talking to Kirk Gordon. He recently moved here from New York. So we are getting to hear about his story on moving to Caldwell and all of his great insights. And
it's
what else?
An amazing conversation. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for coming to the podcast today. And from what I've heard, you're actually not from Caldwell.
No, I'm not.
Sorry, I should have made that more of an open question. So you're not from Caldwell. Where exactly are you from?
So I'm from the Bronx. That's where I landed in 1975 from Jamaica, where I was born.
Wait, did you say it in 1975?
1975, yes.
You don't look a day over 31.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's why we're going to do the podcast together.
Yeah. Did you ever think about moving before you actually moved?
Yes, I moved twice in my life, right? So after the high school, went to the military, so I consider that a move. So I was gone for a while. And then I moved to a small town upstate New York called Newburgh, right, which is where my kids are right now.
Yes, and I'm so curious because we have a lot of cool stories in town of transplants or people who've returned, but I really do love the stories of people that had no connection here. Like, how'd you find us? How'd you say yes to us? How did you find Caldwell?
All right, so I did a search, and I figured I needed to be out of New York City, right? It was just busy. I work from home. It's always in the house. When I go outside, there's 1,000 people around me. There's no real peace and quiet. Mm-hmm. And I looked across the United States to see which town would accept me as a local. But I settled on Caldwell because of a few things, right? One of them including a brand new hospital, mm-hmm. right? And I heard that, there was communication, fiber.
That's us.
High-speed internet. That was one of the callings.
We didn't make him say that.
That was one of the callings. And it was close to a big city, to major cities, right? So I thought about, hey, I'm an hour from Wichita. I'm 2 hours from Oklahoma City. I am 2 hours from Tulsa. I am 8 hours from Denver, St. Louis. I was specifically looking for something to renovate, convert, whether it's a church, a small school, a firehouse, and the church, checked all the boxes for me.
Now that's a big project. So what was it that was so compelling? Instead of purchasing a home, why renovate?
I like to go into every home I've ever owned, I've always went in, redid the bathroom, redid the kitchen. That's the first thing that happens, because there's always value in that, right? Mm-hmm. And in a commercial space, you have to do those things, right? There's no way around it. I made it livable, and then I moved in it, and then I converted the rest of the place. So,
like, as you're converting the church, are there certain things that you look to for inspiration to really guide that? Like, are you looking at certain kinds of videos, certain creators? Do you have different
He has a mood
designers in mind? Do you just have Leah shouting from the window, no, move it over there?
I would never. He would have a lot more Leah in his life, because I used to live 2 houses down from you.
Okay.
So right before you moved here, I moved down to Osage Street, but I lived right next to the Ona Millers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, down the alley.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, we would have been all up in your business if we still lived there.
Oh, man.
What do you have left to do in the church?
Oh, so I did the living room, did the kitchen, did my office, did my daughter's room, of course, my bedroom, a full bathroom, a full half a bath. So now it's just minor things, right? Let's say baseboard moldings, right? After that, I need to now move into the sanctuary, which is just, cavernous. And I need to rip up the rug. I need to sand the concrete floors. I need to stain and
What's the plan?
seal it. I have a crazy vision of what that 3,000 or 3,500 square feet.
We do
space is gonna
crazy
look
here.
like. Yeah, I was thinking crazy.
Crazy,
Right? I was
crazy.
thinking bedroom, the entire space, office on the podium. We have my desk, and bed is like off to the left of that. Of course, like about 30 feet down, and have all my plants in there. Open a skylight so I could put
Yeah.
a decent tree, so the tree will grow there inside the sanctuary. And that's it. And then I'll have, of course, the other 4 rooms will be bedrooms eventually, and that's it.
Now, your family actually made a bet with you. Can you
Yes.
can you talk to us about that?
How'd you guys hear about that bet?
Read it in the article.
Through the
You
grapevine.
already told us.
We actually have deep connections with New York.
Yeah. So some of my friends back home, back in New York, particularly my best friend, and he says, I have money on it that you'll be back within a year, right? So as of now, every time I bring it up to him, he's denying that we ever made the bet. But we have records of that. So, but he's still saying, one day you'll be back. Let's just push it out a little bit. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. And I was telling you before that pretty soon I'll be saying I'm here for 2 years, and 2 years is a long time. 2 years, if you haven't made friends and you're comfortable in your space and the surrounding areas, then it's you're pretty much there now.
Has your friend been here to visit?
No, he hasn't been here. He's a lawyer in New York. He's very busy. He has his own practice, everything. So he doesn't have the time. But I go to New York on a regular basis. Spend a week there at least. See, catch up with friends, some business I have there, as well as family that I catch up with. So
I couldn't imagine that he's that busy. I mean, there can't be that many legal troubles in New York.
Have you had your friends or family, any other friends or family come to visit?
my daughter came this past summer. She came. She was here for about a week and a half. She had a great time. She did a lot of activities. She was at Wellington Lake swimming and fishing. She was at the horse farm out up north with, I think, Valerie. She does a horse training. She participates in equestrian activities back home. So she's very astute when it comes to horses. And the deal is with her is, Dad, if I come to school in Caldwell for high school, would you get me a horse? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get you a horse. So that's the carrot right there, right? So if anyone has a horse, she's in the 8th grade.
Ooh, we would love that. We do have a very nice school here.
Yes.
New hospital, nice school. My daughter goes to the new preschool. That's where I grew up and graduated from here. This is the perfect spot to be, in the middle of everything. Easy to get on a plane or drive to Wichita, whatever you need. But I like that everything you do need. That was probably on your list of you didn't want to move to a town that had nothing.
Right. So the other thing that I saw when I got here was a supermarket. It's a very good supermarket, and I'm a vegetarian. I only eat fish, so there's not a lot of meat that I want to eat. There's everything basically I could get from that supermarket that I use on a daily basis. So that was a big plus when I got here. I didn't realize there was one here. I thought I would be going to Wellington to the supermarket if I needed something, because I realized that there weren't any grocery stores down here except for the gas station, the one stop.
Oh, okay. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Oh, yeah. I was very surprised.
And then since I can't remember, Hager Acres has only been open a short time.
Yeah.
In the last year or so. And now there's a lot of fresh options there, or spices that you probably
every week I buy my tea from there. I buy my bread from there. In the summertime, I buy my cucumbers and tomatoes. So
now have you been to the new bakery?
I've been to the new bakery. I've gotten there in the morning at 6:30 sometimes, and I sit down. I use their Wi-Fi. I do work, because I work with folks in India. So at that time, I have an opportunity to actually do work while I have a couple of muffins and coffee. So, so there's that.
Yeah, I love it. I know you're in the IT field, right?
Well, yeah.
So when you were talking about your office on the podium, I just pictured floor to, not the ceilings, but huge amount of screens built up on this podium with you sitting there, kind of like they have on the TV shows, like the cybercrime people.
Right.
Is that what your office is going to be like?
It's similar. It's similar. I always need 3 screens, and that's
that's it.
that's because I only work on one project now. When I work on multiple projects, I need 3 screens per project, right? So I could show you some pictures of what that would look like.
We're gonna need to see pictures of that.
And 55-inch monitors and stuff, basically TVs. Yeah, so that's the good thing about the flat screens. You could mount them anywhere, use them as TV, as monitors.
A number of the other people that you work with, are they back in New York City? I know that you mentioned that, you work with people in India. Are there a number of people still in crowded cities? Or like when you're working with them, like, do they get jealous, like, oh, I have all this going around on me? Or are they in similar situations too?
A lot of them are similar situations where they could work from anywhere, right? So to be clear, I'm a consultant, right? So I work for the person who pays me the most. That's my MO. And depending
Which is why you're here today. We paid the most.
So the projects that I work on, they're all over the country, and sometimes you have to manage offshore folks, right? Typically, right now, my offshore team part of it is they're in India. But my colleagues that I work with over the past 20 years I've been doing this, they're all over the place. They're in small towns like this. They're in huge cities. They're just it's in other countries. If they could work from other countries, if I could work from another country, I'll probably take the winter and be there. But unfortunately, I have to be in the United States to do my work. Probably name one person who's not having a greater time at being in a rural city as I am. But he's probably going to fix that soon by just moving.
We got homes for sale. And we got fiber.
Right.
Can you tell us a little more about, so an IT consultant, or would you call it an IT consultant, or what? You're a consultant for rich people?
No.
Just kidding.
So I'm an IT consultant. I'm in the IT space, right? So I'm in communications. I'm into change management, right? So I'm a change management expert. And within the change management field, there are times when companies who are implementing large projects for ERP, which is enterprise resource production applications, let's say how you do your finances, how you do your supply chain, how you do your HR, if they're implementing that and there's 100,000 folks that who's going to be affected, then here I come. I got to make sure they're trained. I got to make sure they have information for when I leave the project that they could follow up on. We have to let them know what's going on with the project, right? So when are we meeting? What's the change going to be within your organization? How are you going to be able to manage that change? So we tell them how to kind of navigate that whole process. And basically that's what I do. In the short of it, when folks just randomly ask me what I do, I tell them that I develop computer training manuals, right? And that's like the high level stuff of what I do.
So taking it to the New York Giants, the owner, what's his name, Mora? So if Mora says like, hey, I want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs next week, he gives that, I mean, not like he would need to put that initiative out, but he has the system in place. Then there's the coaches who have the plan and break it down. So maybe like the head coaches, they kind of look at more of the overall, but then like the quarterback's coach, the linebackers coach, they really break down and go into the execution of the plan. So would you say like you're kind of like the linebacker coach or the quarterback coach, guiding each individual department to meet the overall plan that was put in place?
That's a good analogy. I make sure that they're comfortable with doing their job to meet those goals, right? Like if you've never done this before, hey, think about doing these plays differently, and I make them comfortable with doing those plays.
Nice.
So that's what I would do.
So your next job is now going to be with the New York Giants. So we put that out into the world. Right. So now the New York Giants are going to come calling.
If they call, I'll come. I'll show up.
Let's say that there's somebody else who is thinking about moving to a small town. Now that you're 1 year in and hopefully a little richer from your friend, what would be some things that you would recommend for someone to come in? So to really acclimate themselves to the small town environment, what are your top 5 things that they should wrap their head around?
5?
Yeah.
5. Wow.
Top 5. I'm gonna throw out what I've come across since I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Don't expect things to move as fast as it would have if you were in your big city.
Right.
That's the first thing. Be a little patient. If you have to drive to a store outside of your town, be prepared to spend 2.5 hours just on a trip, right, to get something that you would typically 10 minutes down the street. Be prepared to take on some challenges yourself, and don't depend on someone to come in and kind of like to hire someone. Maybe they don't have that knowledge or that expertise. Make sure you're close to an airport. Right? That's very important. I think if I wasn't as close to an airport, that I wouldn't be as successful as I am, because I do use it a lot. Right? I guess the 5th one is to be open to the difference in the way folks think about certain things, right? It's not all like a kumbaya type of community, right? So you can't impose your way of thinking to someone else because you're new in town. You just need to sit back, listen, and take it all in before you start trying to make your voices heard.
Those answers were like so well constructed. It's almost like I gave you the question ahead of time. That was a really good job for on the spot.
You were surprised to find that there was a grocery store here. I guess, were you surprised at anything else? Or what other big surprises, or you could say pleasant or not so pleasant surprises, actually, when you were here to experience?
The big surprise is how many people thought that I was something that I never said I was.
Which was?
I'm running from the law.
What?
I'm hiding out. They kicked me out of New York City. I'm with the cartel. Those are the 4.
And people actually brought that up to you, like, hey, we thought you were with the cartel.
Well, they might have said it cheekily, right? But I mean, they've mentioned it. They said, hey, so what brings you here? And I'm like, I just need a peace and quiet,
I wonder if it's easier for people to believe those stories versus, like, there are people that do not live in rural communities that do want that or see the value in it. Or maybe, I mean, there are people out there that probably would see that church for sale and think, get a good bang for my buck there. Yeah. Why not? And they just have no fear of small towns, so they come. But you were actually looking for some slice of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you know, among our listeners are many wealthy corporations, including the New York Giants. So for those people who are in the know and would want to contact you to have your services, how would they best contact you?
Oh, man. If you need to contact me, you could contact me on 718-877-9998. That's the best way. I answer that phone religiously. It's by my side. I do all my business on that number. And I do have a service that it could be translated and all that good stuff if I'm not around. So,
or they could just knock on the front door at the church.
Yeah, and if it's open, just come on in.
Yikes!
Or send a message through your favorite cartel, and you will receive it.
Get that. Right.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I know that I've learned a lot. Have you learned a lot?
Every time we talk, actually.
All right. Well,
she said hatefully.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And we'll be in touch.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.